Okay, as I told you, royalty is in the house today. I tell you, every time I see this woman, she just makes me go weak.
Stop it.
Her Royal Highness, the Queen, undisputed Queen of Lovers Rock, Carroll Thompson. This is her first single that blew us away. I can remember where I was when I first heard it and how we felt when we first heard it. I can even tell you what we were wearing. A gabichi, a pair of Farrah slacks, you know. Here it is. I'm so sorry. But you know, the thing is, why I say, when I say in the interview, why I say you're the queen is because your repertoire is bigger than just Lovers Rock.
Yeah.
It's jazz, it's everything. It's all you're not just a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? It's yeah. It's your repertoire is vast. You hear you singing jazz, you go, oh wait, that's I'm so sorry, Carroll Thompson. You know, what you mean she's doing jazz? So you know the repertoire is so vast. It's just
Yeah, there are many queens.
yeah. So. Imagine that. A duet of one of my all-time favorite tunes by Bread, David Gates, that's right, that voice, but it is with Sugar Minott. Now, Carroll is going to tell us the story.
Well, yeah, that was it's an interesting story. Myself and Sugar Minott, well, we were good friends, spent a lot of time. He loved the Lovers Rock sound, he loved the UK sound, that's what brought him here. So he used to work with a lot of my musicians, Alan Weeks and some others, and Black Slate, many, you know, of the UK musicians, and we'd always wanted to do a duet, but it never kind of came together. Then fortunately we happened to be in Jamaica at the same time.
Yes.
So we said that's it, so we went down to Channel 1 Studios, and he used to have like this whole sort of community of young musicians and young aspiring musicians that he used to look after. He called them like they call them the Root Man Promotions. And he handpicked a couple of those young aspiring musicians to come in and play on this song. So this is like their big opportunity, and they were
playing their hearts out.
It was so amazing, you know. So we just did this really, really quickly, same kind of thing. We were going to go and touch it up, but never got a chance to come back and touch it up. And that was it. It went out just as it was, and people have always loved this song. And as you say, it's such a great song to start with. And I'm a great fan of Bread.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so many hit songs.
Any music lover has to be a lover of Bread
and David Gates.
So individual, such a great voice. And there's some tunes that it's funny, you go, maybe you shouldn't touch that. Maybe you should. And then you think, well, okay, give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a try. And then, you know, there's some tunes that no matter what you do, you have to be pretty candid to make a mess of it, you know what I mean?
That's one of this song has such a strong melody. And, you know, the actual sentiment of the song I think is really beautiful. And many people have covered it. But I was just so happy that we were able to be in Jamaica at the time.
At the same time.
To do
and it makes the difference because, as I said, I can hear that. I did ask the question, was that recorded in the UK? Because it sounds different. It's a harder drop.
It's edgier.
Yes, that's it.
It's not as soft.
Yeah, it's not as soft. And it's kind of the experience I had with Donnie and Rick Clark.
Okay.
In Barbados at the same time, and they recorded Friends.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different sound. Maybe it's because of what you're experiencing.
It is, and more. It's you kind of absorb the environment that you're in, and the influences and the musicians, you know, the influences that they have as well. That is the magic and the chemistry that goes on to the track in terms of their style. And Channel 1 had a particular sound anyway in terms of recording.
Absolutely.
And those young musicians from Jamaica had that Jamaican edge in terms of how they play.
You know, they hadn't been, what should we say, diluted yet.
Yeah, they didn't have so many different influences in their music. They were just really sort of straight ahead reggae musicians, and they weren't trying to sort of do hybrid and bit of this and bit of that. It was just bang, 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 and it was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Love it. And I mean, what brought Sugar Minott to our radar was his version of Michael Jackson's Good Thing Going. But then when you investigate and you're a collector, as I am, you realize he's done all that stuff with Cox and Dog, Party Time, and all the root stuff.
As he said, studio one.
You know?
Yeah, he was
just amazing.
He's an amazing artist. Really.
Absolutely. Now here is a track that simply melts your heart. There's no other way to say it. Hopelessly in Love. Aww. Enjoy, guys.
I'm hopelessly in love.
What a tune. You can throw money at it, but hey. Okay, this isn't about Janet Kay. This is about Carroll Thompson. But they are great friends. They sing together all the time. They tour together all the time. So we're going to hear a little bit of Silly Games, and then we're going to chat about their wonderful relationship as two queens of Lovers Rock. I tell you, I'd be fighting for that crown. Yes, Carroll Thompson with us today, and that was Janet Kay's Silly Games. Yes, we all remember seeing that on Top of the Pops. Definitely. Definitely. Now tell us about your wonderful relationship as two queens of Lovers Rock, because whenever I see one, I see the other. I'm lucky to have this one on our own today, to be honest.
Yeah, we've had a long friendship, musical and outside of music as well. We met as teenagers, young people in the industry,
right?
And I suppose it just didn't expect us to get on because there was always some type of rivalry. But
and you realise people create that.
They created the rivalry was between the record labels and the producers. I mean, there was no rivalry between us because we both were like subjected to the same fate with, you know, because there's so much mismanagement in the early days. So our stories were very similar, so we didn't really have time to be fighting each other.
With each other, you're too busy fighting the managers that were managing you badly. Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, so we got on from day one, and it's really interesting. It's just a relationship that's really grown and developed. Just we mutually respect each other's work. And
I mean, I love the sisterhood and that support network of each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever you're doing, okay, I'm going to be in the audience and I'm going to be in the front row and I'm going to be making the most noise. That's provided I'm not standing up next to you on stage doing your backing vocals for you. You know, I love that sisterhood and that support.
I think it's really important
that
we all support each other as, you know, in whichever art form you're doing. And we always support one another, give each other advice, you know, shoulder to cry on when it's necessary.
Yeah. And
it's I just think it's a very positive relationship. And,
definitely.
Yeah,
it is a far more positive and fruitful relationship being a support network for each other than it is being rivals.
I think so.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's less work.
Yeah, it's exhausting, isn't it? Being angry, it's just so exhausting.
Right, exactly.
Who's got time for that, especially at this time of life? But I mean, the last time we connected was, I think, at Cleve Watkins's songbook.
Right.
At the festival hall. That was just before everything locked down and everybody was into hibernation.
Yes.
And you know, you saw that support network. There was Janet Kay, there was yourself, and there was her hubby, Victor Ramirez Evans.
Yeah.
So you know, we were in Lovers Rock heaven. You know, all of them there.
Well, they go back a long time as well. Victor and Cleveland, and that lot all went to the same senior school.
Yeah.
That back in Hackney.
Now, this is what I'm noticing. A lot of talent came from Hackney.
Yes. A lot, Barrie. It's incredible that little borough there just produced so much talent.
And South East London, I have to say.
London in general.
Yeah, and it's true.
Absolutely.
You know, because when you speak to people overseas or in the States, wherever, they say, "Oh, where are you living in London?" Or in England, they say, "I'm in London." The only place to be, really. And everybody gets mad except Londoners, you know. But as I said, you've worked together with Janet and Cleve, who I call the vocal acrobat. I've had him on also. And his work is like yours. It's just so broad, so vast. And he first came onto the radar for me with this track, which was a cover of Give Me What You Got. Oh, goose people just talking about
that
it.
That came out on my label.
Stop it.
My label was called
We're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah, it came out on
See, she's got all the information. Okay, all you wallpaper removers, I call you painter and decorators, you know exactly who you are. You're all guilty. All of you are guilty. I'm so sorry, Carroll Thompson. And as I said, I can remember exactly where we were when we heard this first. It was a place called St. Mary's in Ladywell.
Wow.
And I mean, the walls were collapsing with the bass line. Okay, here is the wonderful Carroll Thompson. Welcome to the show, my darling.
Oh, thank you, Barrie. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know how I feel about you.
So,
though,
you know how I feel about you too. So
I
it's
do
sort of
kind of.
mutual society.
Mutual appreciation society going on here. How have you been?
I've been really well, thank you. Yeah, busy, but well. I'm so thankful that I'm well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I need to ask the question. How on earth have you managed to lose weight after lockdown? Because I'm looking at this little stick of a person that's cheekbones out like she's doing a modeling shoot. What is going on? How have you managed
it's just all the rushing around. You know, as I was saying, you had the lockdown where you're just sort of sitting there contemplating, trying to think what's going to happen. Will I ever perform again? To the point where you're trying to catch your tail, because all of a sudden you've got all these bookings and you just have to fulfill them all. So a lot of rushing around. That's what's caused
That's
it.
the thing. It's and especially for creatives and people in hospitality, etc., who suffered immensely in lockdown. You know, it does affect those the artists, the creatives, the performers, the entertainers a little bit differently. I wouldn't say more, but definitely differently. And so when you got that release, you're running around like a headless chicken now, trying to make up your time that you've missed, and above all, your money.
Had to make the money, had to catch up, and also the demand was there. People were gagging to go out and to, you know, just enjoy themselves, just hear some live music. So I had, you know, I was happy, so I had really missed it.
Of course,
really,
it's your life.
Because that's my life.
As a performer and entertainer, it is your life. There's nothing else.
Never experienced that in my life. Where I could even go to church
and get a little release of singing there.
So it was very strange. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been
now tell us about that single, because obviously I've interviewed you before for the Live Well with Barrie show, which is up on YouTube, but let the listeners know about recording and the release and the experience of I'm So Sorry.
Well, I'm So Sorry was, I was in the studio. I made this song with this particular version was with Black Slate mostly.
Right, Anthony
Brightly, Elroy Bailey on bass. On drums we had, his name's gone straight out of my head. Old age is not a good thing, but
I wouldn't know.
We had Black Slate's drummer as well, and it was wonderful. There's some other musicians who joined in, and it was just done so quickly, Barrie. It was like it was an idea. For me, it was an idea. Like, let me put this idea. And then our chin wanted to know whether I had some original material. I played in the staff played them the chords. They played it. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. Next minute, it's on the radio. I didn't even know it'd been released. I didn't even know what was happening with the track. I just heard this thing in the distance one Sunday. I think it was Tony Williams used to do a Sunday.
That's right, on Radio London, wasn't it?
Radio London. And I heard this voice and I heard this song. I thought, that sounds really familiar. I was thinking, getting closer to the radio, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's me.
So what, they released it without you knowing?
Those days, it was so quick.
You
do the track and it's out, dub played.
And whoever's doing the pressing is kind of in control. They're the ones that have got
out and it was on the radio, and that was it. And I was like, wow. I didn't even get to finish off my harmonies. I didn't even get to check the tune, and it was just.
Well, probably that's for the better, because sometimes you do hear when things are overproduced. You know, they're overly produced, and then it kind of loses the essence.
There's truth in that, because sometimes even as an artist, as a musician in the studio, sometimes the first take, you do so many takes, and eventually you come back to that first or second take after you've done like 20 takes or something, perfecting it, and you come back and you think, well, actually the first take and the second take had this kind of magic, kind of freshness, anxiety, and the whole thing adds to the magic. Adds to the magic of that performance. And it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Well, that's what that was anyway.
I mean, you didn't get the chance to overproduce it, and it was just with the essence that it was originally, you know, felt. So you felt in the beginning. Now here is "Make It With You," one of my favorite tunes by Bread, and a duet with Sugar Minott. So we're gonna have a listen to that for a few minutes, and then we're gonna talk about it.
For a few years.
Yes, indeed. The vocal acrobat himself. That's what I call him. And now I find out that this came out on Carroll Thompson's label.
Well, we were all together making music all the time. And I created a label with Bertie Grant, my co-producer on C&B Productions, and created a label called Carousel.
Right.
And yes, on the Carousel label we put out Winston Reedy's first record, which was Dim the Light.
Dim the Light.
And Daughters of Zion came out on my label as well. And we were just a lovely hub of very talented musicians and artists. And out of that little hub came so many wonderful things, and it was a great experience too, and it was a very exciting time musically.
I mean, just wonderful. I still feel it. As you said, we were just laughing about it because you said you're just so excitable about it. And it's true, you know.
It's lovely to see.
It really is. It's true. So let us hear about the tour, honey, because we're coming to the end of it now, aren't we?
Yes, it's been wonderful, because you know it's been the 40th anniversary of the Hopelessly in Love album this year.
Can you imagine that? 40 years.
It's hard to believe.
I was 3 at the time when I went to Neville's in Brixton.
And I was 7 when I recorded it.
So we have to be realistic with this.
40 years, Barrie.
It's madness.
It's madness. So I decided to license the album to Trojan BMG, because I think Trojan is a really good label for me.
Of tradition.
Traditionally, So we've licensed that. So off the back of that licensing and reissuing the album and remastering it and adding some of these other songs that were like sort of standalone singles, and we put it together as a whole new package. So, and I've written some liner notes and stuff like that for the new re-release. And so we decided to do a small little tour, and on that tour I decided to sing every single song from the Hopelessly in Love album.
Right.
And it was such a joy, because I've never ever
done
it. So it was just to revisit those songs was really beautiful, and to hear people singing every single song from the album was such a joy. A real joy and a real revelation.
It's a lovely album.
It was amazing.
And I mean, even you with your little braids and sitting on the bonnet.
Down the road, I did this in Harlesden. Back at Harlesden, I did that photo.
That photo shoot.
Just down the road here. You know,
in the Tesco's car park.
So it was, you know, it was just really lovely to come back to that song after the whole album, actually, after so many years, and to reconnect with the audience and people who had been supporting.
Well, the thing is, you're reconnecting. The audience were never disconnected from you. This is the thing that we have to actually say.
You're right.
The audience were never disconnected from you. You know, you were doing your projects and going on to the next thing and the next thing and gigging when you can, and but you were more disconnected than they were, shall we say. You know, they were always connected to you.
You're right, Barrie. You know, that did bring it home to me, that how that album resonated on a very deep and emotional level to so many people. People cried when I was singing. They'd come to talk to me afterwards and tell me how important that album was in terms of the soundscape of their lives at the time, what they were going through. So it's been a wonderful year for me in terms of that in re-releasing this album.
Yes, your
40 years.
public still love
It's
you
incredible.
as
It's incredible.
as if, you know, it were 1981. They
It's
still love you as if it were 1981.
Amazing.
But, you know, and an example of the aura of this woman here. Okay. So she's sitting down in the studio and we're having our interview. Next presenter comes in and he says, "Oh, sorry, there's someone in here. You know, I didn't realize you had a guest." Anyway, he always comes in to say hi. And I said, "Do you know who this is?" And he said, "Oh, no, hello, nice to meet you." I said, "This is Carroll Thompson." Watching. Smashed up everything in the studio, knocked over the stand, knocked over my phone that was filming, and it's like, "All right, go out and get a glass of water and calm yourself down." That is a classic example of your audience not ever being disconnected with me. He didn't recognize the face, but he knew the name, you know. And I mean, even though she hasn't got her tiara on today, that's probably why he didn't recognize her. But yes, so your last gig.
Yes, my last gig is at the Pizza Express in Holborn, but it's sold out, I'm afraid. But it's, I know, but good. I'm happy it's sold out.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
I will be doing some more.
I'll just have to play the record at home and have with a glass of wine and feel sorry for myself.
I'll find a seat for you. I'll find a seat for you, Barrie.
Well, of course, we wish you all the very best with the tour. It's lovely to see you. Keep shining your
Pleasure
light.
to be here. You know, I just, you know, have so much time for you, Barrie, and what you do, and your enthusiasm and support and love for music. I think it's really important to, you know, to say those things and and just to celebrate you as well.
That's nice
what
of you.
you do. You
Thank
know,
you very much. That's very, very nice of you. As I say, it's a mutual appreciation
really
society. It really is.
It really is.
And, you know, as I say, I think you have to recognize what has gone before. The number of years, pleasure, that's the soundtrack to our lives, how it's given us so much joy. But it's the work that you guys have put into that. You know, it's one thing for us to go and buy a track and love it, but you know, there's no understanding of the writing, the compiling, the creation, the recording.
There are many components that have to come together
to make
an
track.
album happen.
And maybe you only aware of that when you're involved in the industry. So you know, it's my way of saying, well, thank you for the pleasure and having me broke for years. Because of, you know, the collecting.
Always buying.
Always buying. You never finish. You know, as a collector, you never finish. You're always buying. Yeah,
it's true.
So yes, to all you wallpaper removers, I call them the painter and decorators. They are besides themselves. My social media is on fire at the minute. So it's great, particularly Angela Cunningham. As I said, she said, oh, is that Carroll Thompson on? Oh, I'll definitely be listening today. What do you mean? You should be definitely listening anyway. Never mind Carroll Thompson.
Oh, sure. You've got a new fan now. She'll always keep listening from now on.
Thank you so much, my darling, for giving us time out of your busy schedule.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's supported my music over the years. Just thank you for supporting UK music as well. You know, all of us depend on people buying and appreciating and understanding what we do. So I couldn't come here and not actually say thank you to all the people who've supported me over the years and continue to do so. And so thank you, Barrie. Thank you.
You are welcome. But you see now, hear that speech? Do you see why she's the queen? Do you see how smooth was that? How gracious and humble. I tell you, the only thing missing is the tiara. I'm going to bring one next time for you. Lovely to see you, sweetheart. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.